There is a town in southeast Ohio where two rivers meet, where a wooden sternwheeler still carries passengers past homes built before Ohio was even a state, and where the streets were laid out a year before George Washington was even sworn in as the nation's first president. It is not a recreation. It is not a theme park. People live there right now on modest incomes in houses that cost a fraction of what you would pay for something half as charming almost anywhere else in the country. That town is waiting for you at the end of this list, and once you see it, you will understand why so few people outside Ohio have ever heard its name. This is 25 Ohio towns hiding the best retirement life in America. And before we start, let's be honest about what that means. Every town on this list is real. Every price range and population figure is something I checked before writing a word of this script. And every single one of these places has a catch, because no town is perfect, and a channel that only tells you the good parts isn't doing you any favors. So we'll name the trade-offs plainly, right alongside the reasons people fall in love with these places. That's the deal here, and it's the only way a list like this is actually worth your time. Before we get into the countdown, if you're the kind of person who likes discovering places like this, go ahead and subscribe. It costs nothing, and it helps this channel keep finding towns the big relocation blogs skip over. And while you're at it, drop a comment with the state or town you're watching from right now. I'm always curious who's out there thinking about a change like this, and it helps me know what to cover next. Let's start at number 25 with Zoar, tucked into Tuscarawas County along the Tuscarawas River. Founded in 1817 by German religious separatists who built a self-sufficient communal village, more than 50 of their original structures still stand. The whole place listed as a National Historic Landmark, with the Ohio and Erie Canal towpath running right past town. Housing is limited and modest since this is a village, not a city. The catch is real. Zoar is tiny, groceries and hospitals are a drive away, and living here means choosing quiet over convenience. If that sounds appealing rather than isolating, keep that feeling, because it shows up again later on this list. Number 24 is Marblehead, out on the peninsula separating Lake Erie proper from Sandusky Bay. A village of well under 1,000 people, it's home to the oldest continuously operating lighthouse on the American side of the Great Lakes, plus ferry access to the Lake Erie Islands and a preserve protecting a wildflower found nowhere else in the country. Summers here are genuinely beautiful with boating, fishing, and cool lake breezes. The catch is that Marblehead runs on a vacation economy, so prices lean toward what second home buyers from Cleveland and Columbus will pay, and winters go quiet fast once the tourists leave. At number 23, Chagrin Falls sits about 20 miles east of Cleveland in Cuyahoga County. A real waterfall runs through the middle of downtown, visible from a bridge lined with Victorian storefronts, galleries, and a popcorn shop serving the same treat since 1949, alongside a documentary film festival and a community theater running for generations. Here's the honest catch. This is one of the more expensive towns on our list. Beauty and closeness to Cleveland push home prices well above rural Ohio. So this one suits retirees prioritizing polish over rock-bottom cost. Number 22 is Loudonville, the self-proclaimed canoe capital of Ohio, along the Mohican Scenic Byway. Thousands of paddlers float the Mohican River each summer. The surrounding forest turns spectacular each October, and a working grist mill nearby still grinds corn the way settlers did 2 centuries ago. The catch is a thin year-round job market and a drive to Mansfield for bigger medical appointments. So this suits retirees more than working-age transplants. Number 21 is Warren in the Mahoning Valley, along its namesake river. The National Packard Museum honors the automaker founded here in 1899, and downtown centers around the restored 1923 Robbins Theater. Roughly 1 in 6 residents is already over 65, so senior centers and a regional medical center are well established. The honest catch is that Warren, like much of the Mahoning Valley, is still working through the decline of its manufacturing base, and some neighborhoods show that more than others, so a visit before committing matters here. Number 20 is Marion, about 50 miles north of Columbus. This is Warren G. Harding's hometown, with his memorial still drawing visitors alongside a machinery museum and the Marion Tallgrass Trail, where bald eagles nest along restored prairie. The town leans fully into its identity as the self-declared popcorn capital of the world, with a festival running more than 40 years. Housing stays friendlier to a fixed income than most of central Ohio. The catch is a local economy still finding its footing after industrial decline and winters that come in hard off the plains. At 19 sits Millersburg, the county seat of Holmes County and the heart of Ohio's Amish country, about 66 miles south of Cleveland. Its historic Jackson Street is lined with 19th century buildings, and the hotel where you can still book a room hosted President Grover Cleveland in 1900, making it the third oldest continuously operating hotel in the state. 26 miles of paved trails wind through the county, and the pace of life here, shaped by Amish neighbors, is unmatched for genuine slowness. The catch is real rural isolation. Specialist care means a drive to Worcester or Canton, and tourist traffic clogs the roads on summer weekends. Number 18 is Berlin, a hamlet in that same Holmes County Amish community, home to under 700 year-round residents, even though it draws more visitors than any town in the region. Main Street is lined with shops selling handcrafted furniture, quilts, and baked goods straight from local kitchens. The catch is that Berlin is built for day trippers, so beyond the shops, there's little formal health care or big box convenience, meaning a drive to Millersburg or Worcester for most of that. At 17, North Canton in Stark County offers Price Park's 18 acres of walking paths and ponds, and the Hoover Historical Center set inside the restored home of the vacuum company's founder, a reminder of how one idea built much of this town. Cost of living runs meaningfully under the national average, and healthcare is genuinely strong, with Altman Hospital and a Cleveland Clinic location just south in Canton. The catch is that North Canton feels more suburban than small town, so front porch quiet is harder to find here. Number 16 is Granville, 30 miles from Columbus in Licking County. New England-style architecture lines its walkable streets. The Granville Inn anchors dining downtown, and Denison University keeps a steady stream of lectures and concerts open to the public. Licking Memorial Hospital covers healthcare close to home. The catch is cost. Granville's beauty and university pedigree push home prices above what you'd expect for a town this size. At 15, Oberlin, 30 miles outside Cleveland, built its identity around its liberal arts college, which opens concerts and performances to the community and lets retirees sit in on continuing education classes. Downtown is compact and walkable, and the senior center stays genuinely active. The catch: prices track the university crowd rather than the rural economy, and lake effect snow off Erie piles up fast in winter. Number 14 is Worcester, home to the College of Worcester and a downtown blending student energy with an old-fashioned square. Museums and performing arts stay busy year-round, and the countryside rolls gently toward Amish country to the south. The catch: Worcester sits between small college town and small city, so if pure quiet is the goal, some villages already on this list suit that better. At 13, Coshocton sits where the Tuscarawas and Walhonding rivers meet, and its restored Roscoe Village recreates an 1830s canal town, complete with costumed guides and a horse-drawn canal boat ride in summer. The catch is a modest local job market, which matters less if you're already retired, but is worth knowing if a working spouse is coming along. Number 12 is Zanesville, known for the Y Bridge, one of the only bridges in the world where you can cross to 5 directions from its center point, and for a pottery-making history that put the town on ceramics maps nationwide. Downtown is mid-revitalization. The catch: that revitalization is still in progress, so this suits people who like being early rather than arriving after everything's finished. At 11, Chillicothe holds the distinction of being Ohio's first state capital, and the nearby Hopewell Culture National Historical Park preserves earthworks built by indigenous peoples more than 1,500 years ago, some of the most important ancient sites in North America. The Scioto River runs right through downtown. The catch is an industrial paper mill on the edge of town that occasionally makes its presence known by smell, and specialized health care means a trip toward Columbus. Number 10 is Athens, home to Ohio University, tucked into the hills of the Appalachian foothills along the Hocking River. The uptown strip stays lively with independent shops and a college town food scene, and the surrounding Hocking Hills region offers some of the most dramatic hiking in the state, with waterfalls, caves, and sandstone gorges within a short drive. The catch is a college calendar that brings noise, traffic, and higher rents near campus during the school year, easing considerably once summer arrives. At 9, Oxford in Butler County centers around Miami University, with a walkable uptown square, a strong arts calendar, and consistently ranked healthy safety numbers. It sits close enough to Cincinnati that specialist care is never far. The catch, again, is the college town premium on housing near the university itself, though prices ease the further you move from campus. Number 8 is Gambier, a genuinely tiny village built entirely around Kenyon College, with a single main street and a level of quiet that borders on total. It's the kind of place where you know your neighbors within a week. The catch's scale: there is very little here beyond the college itself, so you're relying on nearby Mount Vernon for groceries, health care, and daily errands. At 7, Hudson in Summit County centers on a New England-style green with a landmark clock tower, and its historic district still reflects the town's founding by settlers from Connecticut. It's an easy drive to Akron and Cleveland for specialized medical care. The catch is that Hudson has become one of the more affluent addresses in the region, so if pure affordability is your priority, this one asks more of your budget than most towns on this list. Number 6 brings us to Peninsula, a village of only a few hundred people that serves as a gateway to Cuyahoga Valley National Park, with the scenic railroad, towpath trail, and Brandywine Falls all within a few minutes' drive. It's one of the only places where you can retire genuinely inside a national park's gateway community. The catch is its size. Housing stock is limited and turns over rarely, and weekend park traffic can make Main Street feel busier than a village this small usually does. At 5, Waynesville calls itself the antiques capital of Ohio, and its Main Street backs that up with dozens of antique shops inside restored 19th century buildings. The Little Miami Scenic Trail runs directly through town for walking and biking, and Cincinnati and Dayton are both within reasonable driving distance for bigger city amenities. The catch is an economy built heavily around tourism and antiques, so year-round services stay leaner than you'd find in a larger town. Number 4 is Lebanon, home to the Golden Lamb, Ohio's oldest continuously operating hotel, open since 1803, and host to 12 U.S. presidents over the centuries. The downtown built up around that hotel still has the golden spires and white clapboard charm that made it a stop on the Ohio Scenic Byway. The catch is growth itself. Lebanon sits in the path of Cincinnati and Dayton's suburban expansion, and prices have been climbing as a result, so the window on this one may not stay open in its current form forever. At 3, we head out onto Lake Erie itself to Put-in-Bay on South Bass Island. Perry's Victory and International Peace Memorial towers over the harbor, commemorating a decisive naval battle from the War of 1812. And the island's small year-round community lives a genuinely different rhythm than mainland Ohio, with golf carts replacing cars on many streets. Winters are quiet, almost monastic, once the ferries slow down. The catch is logistics. Everything from groceries to medical appointments requires planning around ferry schedules once ice sets in, and the cost of shipping goods to an island shows up in everyday prices. Number 2 is Yellow Springs, in Greene County near Dayton, a village of well under 4,000 people that has spent 2 centuries cultivating an identity entirely its own, going back to its founding by followers of a utopian social reformer in 1825. Antioch College anchors a genuinely progressive, artsy community life, and Glen Helen Nature Preserve, with more than 15 miles of trails behind campus, backs right up to a dramatic gorge at John Bryan State Park within walking distance of downtown. It is, by wide agreement, one of the most beloved small towns in the entire Midwest, and retirees make up a significant share of who actually lives there. The honest catch is that Yellow Springs' reputation has pushed home prices above what a town this size would normally command, so it rewards people who value culture and identity enough to pay a little more for it. Before we get to number 1, here's something worth saying plainly. Nobody else is covering these towns the way we are because there's no advertising money in telling you the truth about a place with 3,000 people in it. If this kind of research is useful to you, sharing it, or just leaving the video running helps it reach someone else who's quietly looking for a way out of an expensive zip code. That's really the only ask here. And now, number 1. Marietta. At the meeting point of the Ohio and Muskingum rivers in the far southeast corner of the state. This is the oldest permanent American settlement in the old Northwest Territory, laid out in 1788, a year before George Washington took his first oath of office. Walk its historic district today, and you're standing among homes and storefronts that watched the entire westward expansion of the country happen. The Valley Gem. Sternwheeler still runs narrated cruises and dinner outings along the same water that once carried settlers into the frontier, and the Appalachian foothills rise just beyond downtown, laced with hiking trails. The O'Neill Senior Center runs exercise classes, workshops, and day trips built specifically around retiree life, and the whole town carries its nearly 2.5 centuries of history without feeling like a museum piece. Prices here stay genuinely comfortable for what you get. A real, walkable, riverfront historic town, not a recreation of one. The catch, and it's worth taking seriously, is the river itself. Marietta sits at a confluence, which means flood risk is a real planning consideration, not a footnote, and specialized hospital care means a drive toward larger regional centers. Summers run warm and humid, and the broader regional economy is still working its way back from decades of industrial change. None of that erases what makes this town remarkable. It just means you go in with your eyes open, which is exactly how every choice on this list should be made. These 25 towns didn't stay this way by accident. Somebody has to be a little off the interstate, a little behind the population booms, a little slower to modernize for a place to keep this kind of affordability and this kind of character both at once. That trade-off runs in both directions. What keeps prices low for you is often the same thing that means fewer specialists, thinner job markets, or a longer drive for the things you took for granted somewhere bigger. People choose towns like these anyway, because a slower pace and a lower bill and a place where someone remembers your name turns out to matter more. Once the working years are behind you, then most of us expect it to. So tell me, which of these 25 would you actually pack up and move to? And if you already live in or near one of these towns, tell us what we got right and what we missed, because nobody knows a place better than the people who actually live there. Thanks for spending this time with me, and I'll see you in the next one.